Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jasneet Singh, aka Innovative Coder from Innovative Coder Workstation, and just resuming this session on lists and dictionaries. In previous videos, we talked about lists, all of the syntax and all of the stuff right here, and now we'll be starting off with basically more important operations on lists, as well as we'll see some things about dictionaries. Right. So starting off, we have right over here we have something which is here what I've done is we have declared a string which has some values. So this here is a string, right, because it is written in double quotes. Now what we want to do is we want to separate all of these elements like A, B, S, S, C and D are all separate elements, and we want to separate them using comma as the separating point, right? So what we use is we use str.split, and then we specify what element we want to split, along which element we want to split. So like here we are splitting it along the comma. Now in this case we are splitting it along the space, right? Now what we are doing is, so this was what we saw about split function. So another function of Python strings is that whenever we take the input, so using input function we take the input from the user, and input directly comes in a form of a string, right? So what we can do is we can have this input function, and we are using strip function. So what strip does is, maybe you guys remember or not, but we have talked about this earlier also in earlier videos. So what strip does is it removes the spaces in a string. So if I have some space here as well as some space here, so it removes the spaces before and after the complete string, right? Okay, so I'll undo it, and yep. So now let's run this and see. So for first we have this thing, we have a list of all of the elements. So A is my string, BSS is my one string, C is another string, and D is another string, right? So we have a list of strings when we use the split function, and same over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm using something this, so I have a list of 1 2 3, right? So a little more explained code of what we did above is, if I have a for loop and I play it, like I iterate it till the ending point, till the last point of the list here. So what we can have, we can make an array of that particular thing, right? So like the code is very much this one is more explained, and what we can do is we can write all of this for loop, like this for loop, in one line. So what we are doing here is, in this line is like we are having this for loop. So this is our loop, this is our looping part, and this is our integer value, right? So this is the part indicating this particular thing, and we are storing it here we are storing it in a list variable, and we here we have this L variable as a list. So if I give something, okay, so it was meant for integer values, right? And again, okay, so we have the output as a list of integer values, right? Because we are typecasting it here also and here also. So these both mean the same thing. The emphasis of for me like saying all of this stuff is that these both for loops means same thing, and this is much more explained way. So you need to write much more code for that. You need to write 2 lines for that, and see, if you have a long code around like 1000 lines, and if you have multiple for loops, then it would be easy to write it in this way, right? So this is something which we can use, and which we'll be using in further course. Okay, so the next thing we move on is adding elements in a list. So we have a list, now we append. So append means insertion at end, right? Append means at end. So we add two element at the end of this particular list, and now when we print it, we'll get something like this, 2 at the end, right? Also what we can do is we can use insert function for a list, and what we can do is, we while using insert function, we can specify the place, the index, and then we can specify the element, right? So at first place, at first index, we have this element 23, right? Same goes for extend. So what extend does is, extend basically concatenates two lists, right? So concatenation we saw in strings as well, and now here in list as well, it is the it is something like we can concatenate two lists, right, using extend function. Okay, so now we saw the insertion part here, and now we'll be moving on to deletion part. So what we have is deleting elements. So for deleting elements, we can use pop. Pop is a function for lists. So it removes the last element. So here in this list L2, like in this list we have 2 as the last element. So if we do L dot pop, then this element gets removed, right? Okay, and if we specify some index, then it will remove that particular element at that particular index, right? So let's see. Yeah, so here we were having 3 at the end, right? So it is removing 3 from the end. Okay, yep. And second element, it removes the second element, which is AC, and in this list we don't have AC, right? Now what we are doing is, we are inserting 2 at 0th index, right? So we have this list, and now when we remove 2, so what it does is, it removes the particular element, right? It doesn't remove all the 2's from the list. It actually removes the first occurrence of that particular element. So what we have done is, we have added 2 at 0th index, right? And the first occurrence of 2 in this particular list is at 0th place, right? So when we do remove L dot remove, it removes this particular index, the first occurrence of that particular element. Okay, I hope this much is understood, right? Now another way of deletion is using del keyword, right? So what we can do is, we can type del and then the element, like L 0th. So the element which is kept at the 0th index of that particular list, right? Okay, so we have this, we had 1, and now we don't have 1 with us. So this is the ending list which we get. Okay, moving on. Now we can do is, now what we'll see something known as, so we have our list L as 1 2 3. We make a new list. So I'll uncomment this line, and let's see, it will show us error, right? So it says that cannot concatenate an integer in that list, right? So plus is used to concatenate when we need to concatenate two lists, but it can't add, like plus is not used for insertion, right? So it is not able to concatenate 2 as an integer value with this particular thing. But what it can do is, it can easily concatenate a list with a list. It can copy it 2 times, it can copy it 3 times, right? So if I run this, I get this thing. Okay, so L plus L, so we have 2 lists, we have 1 2 3 and then 1 2 3. We have copy of the same list. So here you see one list and then another list is there, they both are getting added, right? And here a copy of this particular list is getting concatenated with this thing, right? So you need to understand the difference. Okay, and the next function, the next thing which we have is, we make a list, we use sort, which is pretty much understood that it will sort the elements. If we print it, so we get all the sorted elements ranging from 1 to 8, like with the order which we specified. Okay, and if we check the count of 4, so it gives the frequency of 4. So 4 comes 2 times, 1 and then 2, so it is giving me the frequency of 4, yep, which is 2. And then we check the index of 2, so element 2, where is it? Yeah, so element 2 is kept at first index, so it is giving me 1, right? And then we have reverse, so it will print it in reverse order, right? Okay, and then we can also check, so there is no need of using if else, we can directly check if 7 is in 1, so we write 7 in 1, and it will give us a return value, a bool value, that if it is present or not. Okay. Okay. So for dictionaries, we'll talk in next video. Thank you for this session. I hope you like it. Thank you guys. Keep subscribing, keep supporting, and keep liking the content. It helps a lot. So thank you.